Hello, this is Threadhead TV. I'm Jude Bell. Thank you for joining me on this episode on how to make an OBI belt, a wrap leather belt that has been recycled from a leather coat. I don't know if you can tell, but this was the back panel from the leather coat. So the line running through the middle there, which will be my middle front line running up and down, was the original waistline in the back of the coat. To get professional results, use a rotary cutter and ruler. This will get your lines precise. These strips I'm making are the tie part of the belt, and they are about 3.5 inches wide. I will need to piece together 2 strips for each side of my belt. So here I am cutting the second part of the strip for each side of my belt. Then I will put right sides together and sew them at the machine. I'm using a leather needle in my machine and quilting thread. Then to reinforce these seams, I top stitched, making sure to catch the seam underneath in this top stitching for extra strength. Now we are ready to sew lengthwise, so folding each strip, the right sides together, you give yourself a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or get as close to the edge as you can. I wanted a slanted edge to my end, my tie end, and so I cut about a 45-degree angle, and here I am cutting the seam allowances off so that I can get it through. It's a very tight fit to get that seam turned right side out. With as narrow as this belt is, it does take some work to turn it right side out. Here I am halfway done. The next step is to add some pieces to the front section of my belt. For this belt to be shaped to a woman's body, our hips are bigger than our waist, of course, and so I just shaved 1 inch off the top of the belt, and I'm making a trapezoid shape to this piece that I added on in order to give my hips more room and for it to be narrower at the waist. So my true trapezoid pieces are still not enough to close in the gap in the back. So here I am measuring to see how much more leather do I need in order to make these pieces meet in the front. Now I don't want them to overlap really at all. So I want a little bit of a gap while I'm measuring here so that when I actually pull it tight, the leather will stretch a little bit. And I'm going to be pulling it tighter than I have it right now, which is just laying around my body. So here are my extra trapezoid pieces that I will be adding on. All the seams on this belt are reinforced. As you can see, after I sew the seam, here I am reinforcing it with a top stitch. As you can see, it looks as though the ends are kind of angled out. And this is good, as I said, because it will hug your hips and your waist better. So when you measure it around your waist at this point, you just want to make sure that where the ends meet, that line is straight up and down, vertical. This is a second jacket that I bought off of eBay for the purpose of upcycling. And I liked the lining of this second jacket better. It was in better shape than the first. So this will be the lining of my belt. I had to piece a couple lining pieces together to make my lining long enough. Then with right sides together, you cut out your lining. The width of my finished belt when it's all sewn is about 5.5 inches from top to bottom in the front. So that means at this stage it is about 6.5 inches from top to bottom in the front. Before sewing on your lining, we are going to sew on the tie parts of the belt. Now that I've turned it right side out, I will top stitch all along the outer edge of the belt. Here you can see that I left the ends open between the end of the lining and the belt. However, if you want to catch the lining when you top stitch, just tuck it under a little bit less or cut the lining a little bit longer so that you have a little more to work with in tucking it under. And then when you top stitch on the leather side, it will catch the lining. But it won't show, so it doesn't really matter if it's left open or not. I just wanted to be careful that my lining didn't show from the outside of the belt. And this is the very last step, which is top stitching all the way around the edge of the tie part of the belt. I hope this OB belt tutorial was helpful for you. Thanks for watching. This is Threadhead TV. Come on back for more great projects.
I'm going to cover you up.
Oh, you cover me up, girl. Anytime.